So exactly on time, we are away with the Wizz Air Milano Marathon of 2025. First wave will be those elite runners, and then it will be continuous waves for the next few minutes. Everybody gets their net time based on the chip attached to their bibs, so it activates when they cross the start line and when they cross the finish. You can track them around the course over the various timing mats at 5 kilometer intervals if there's somebody in particular that you're following on this journey. Great crowds in the city centre. They'll still be here for the return run. This is the oldest part of the course in the city centre. There'll be more modern developments out as they make their way northwest from the city centre. Beautiful course, and runners from around the world, 40% of the field from outside Italy. There'll be a little bit of shade from that 16-degree temperature as they go through the buildings in the city centre. The course opens up. Probably the most famous opera house in the world, La Scala, on their left-hand side as they make their journey through this opening kilometre. Nice carnival atmosphere down on the start. Very ambitious race. I mean, Milan is one of the foremost sporting cities in the world, and it wants it to take its marathon to the very highest levels. There's a three-man pacing group that will be taking the men through, and they're looking for something around about 2:57 per kilometre, 2:57, 2:58, so under 3 minutes per kilometre. That would take them to 62.5 to 62.40 halfway split. And the pace, a bit of a frown there at the head of the men's field as we go back. And he's frowning because he's one of the pacemakers, because he has got all the worries of keeping it exactly on schedule. The sort of mileage that these male runners will have done in preparation for this marathon will have commenced at the turn of the year, January into February, and their long runs will have been almost the full marathon distance, covering sometimes in excess of 180 kilometres a week, 140. So despite the disruption, as we track the course on the graphic around this, and that's a surprise because it's not been especially quick. So Gideon Kimutar, just looking to see if he's now pacing on his own. That's a tall order for him. Up, it does look like it is getting quicker, and that's why we've got a couple in danger of going out the back door in this leading group. The athlete that's in trouble, you can see the graphic for the three that are in contention there, Demise, Chekwell and Makuria, 2 for Ethiopia, 1 for Uganda, but it's Joan Kilimo in the purple at the back, who is just losing her place in this group. Well, she's trying to key off the back men. You can just see her right at the back of the shot there. "15 kilometres coming up. And I think this has been the quickest 5k segment. That will be nothing to do with gradient or wind, purely pacemaking. Go, but clearly struggling, and now she's kind of given up the chase, just trying to get her rhythm back, and that's quite a long way to go because I think there are some gaps behind her. Certainly the fifth woman could be a couple of minutes behind. We've had Kip 2 once or twice. Only 20 years of age, in fact not quite 20. 20 in October, so probably the youngest in either of the elite fields that we've seen so far. Not loads of experience there. She's a very experienced half marathon runner, including in Italy. I like the way the men around are just giving them their space, running with them but not in their way. 60 minutes at 20 kilometers, so we brought it back down to a 2:08 finishing time. Just looking to see if the pacemaker's gone. Drink stations at every 5 kilometers. This is the 20k one, and it's happened again. If you're an elite marathon runner watching this, make sure your drinks bottle is super distinctive, even if you have to swathe it in wrapping paper or sticky back plastic, put a huge flag or a giant flower on it. Make sure that you can sight it from a long way out and that you are on the correct side of the road to be able to grab it in advance, because there's too much confusion for what should be experienced athletes. Every time it goes past and breaks away, that male pacemaker will go with them. There are no pacemakers left in this men's shot. Look at that sideways on. I mean, if you didn't know it was a marathon, fantastic sort of track, bounce and pace and cadence, relaxation. 30 kilometers is coming up. That means there's a drink station. That means we'll get a projected time, which hopefully may be coming down under 2:08, although we've had a fairly cautious section within this race, despite those surges by 2. So there are the drink stations. Yes, they've seen them. They move across. It happens in congested packs. They're well spaced out. The surges aren't sharp enough to drop athletes at this caliber, and they don't appear to be sustained enough either. He's only doing it for 30 or 50 seconds or so, looking around, realizing there's still people there, and easing back, and that's just encouraging those around him. Nine is Tedesse, also of Ethiopia. A lot of these athletes take part in races in China, which has a very emergent racing character. Nationalities in that group. Kipyego, the athlete for Uganda, on the right-hand side of the shot in the white singlet and the blue shorts. Now it's another surge from Kiptu. This must be his 7th or 8th. Always looking round, always looking to see if it's worked. It's a bit like digging up your potatoes early. And the one who looks to be most vulnerable this time is Langat in the purple on the left. One of these days too, it could work. Still a long way to sustain it. We're through 36 kilometers now, just about 6 kilometers to go, and the women with less than 10 kilometers to go. This is a real warrior's race now, isn't it? Demise of Ethiopia, she will have the benefit of a pacemaker. The men just racing it out head to head. She'll have that male pacemaker in front of her, Kimeli, taking her almost to the line, and he's there for her. Whoever's leading the race, if she says go faster, he'll go faster. If she says slow down, he'll slow down. But at the moment she's on for a 2:22. She's only broken 2:22 twice, in Dubai and Tokyo, and neither recently, 2015 and 2019. So this is her best run this decade, if she can hold it together. 2, meanwhile, pressing on in the men's race, with that number ripped off at the top of the pins on the back of his singlet. nice long straight stretch here, but they will be feeling the cumulative effect of an hour and 50 of racing at a relentless, just outside 3 minutes per kilometre. Somebody in that group is going to be our champion. Somebody, 2 of them aren't getting on the podium. But I think these 5 are our top 5, because it is now a significant gap over the chasers. They are going away. That's how they're going away from the women. That's where they are on the course, entering the ancient part of Milan again, on the journey to probably one of the great finish lines in front of the Duomo, the Milan Cathedral, where they started an hour and 3/4 ago. And the Eritrean, oh, he stopped, he's in real difficulty there. The Ugandan, that was correction. Well, that was dramatic. The women into the park life area adjacent to the ornamental pools. And are we suddenly down to 3? Wow. 2 now, having to respond to a surge. Well, that has been a devastating kilometre. Tedesse of Ethiopia. I think he's back in 5th now. 5 kilometres to run. Kipchumba has really put the foot down. 5 kilometres, a bite-sized distance on its own, but hard. Oh, he's looking round, so I wonder if he's having second thoughts. 2 has just about responded to that. So it's 3 Kenyans away at the head of the field. Kipchumba was seeded number 5 with a best of 2:08. It's going to be somewhere around that, because I think this is speeding up significantly now. He's at 2. A little bit further back, this is the lead woman coming over the dual carriageway. Pacemaker, as you can see from this angle, is operating 4 or 5 strides ahead of her, which suggests that she is toiling a little bit. She would be right on his shoulder as an ideal position. So this may not be over in the women's race. The gap behind her to her teammate, yeah, that's the hand signal, get on my shoulder, from the pacemaker. She's trying to, coaxing her through these closing stages. The women have got 8 kilometres to run, the men have got less than 5, and it's a 3-way battle between 2 once again, hitting the front. Looks like he went through a bad patch and has now come back. This will be about his 8th, 9th or 10th surge in the race. At some point it has to be a full-on run for home, and if that's to be the case, he needs to stop looking over his shoulder, because he needs to be 5th gear. Most of the race, 2 has looked the most comfortable of the runners in the leading group. He's taken the opportunity ever since the pacemaker stepped aside to press, and most times it hasn't worked. This time, has it taken him to a guaranteed top 2 position? Kipchumba looks like he is in difficulty now in third place, and I doubt very much that the pace will slow from here. We are too close to the finish. We're 3.5 kilometers from home. Langer matches him stride for stride and now goes for his own surge. Leonard Langer, a 2:07 man. And I think she's really struggling hard. We're not getting the comparisons yet. She very weary grasp of the water there for the women's leader. We're not getting the gap over second place, but for Shure Demiseware, we've drifted to 2:22.40. Pacemaker is further ahead than he would like to be. He's coaxing her along here. The interesting thing will be what gap she has over second place and whether they can see her at this stage. Meanwhile, the duel continues. Langat against 2. Less than 4 kilometers to the finish. Langat's turn now to surge. Been first and second in Vienna, so he has been a marathon champion. Two never has. Two best position was Buenos Aires, where he was runner-up in September last year. So these two runners have given us quite the contest. Isaac 2 has put in countless surges, but at the moment finds himself in second place. Leonard Langer has only put in 2 or 3 surges, but he's the leader in the 2025 Wizz Air Milano Marathon. And we're into the old part of the city and only a few turns from home now, approaching 40 kilometers, 2 kilometers to go. They can see on the lead clock that we've just clicked through the 2-hour point. The time's not going to be significant today. It's going to be 2:09 or thereabouts. It's all about who's going to take the title, and they are slugging it out like a couple of heavyweight boxers. Onto the cobbles, onto the more twisty part of the course. Lagat leading, but not decisively so. Langer has run under 60 minutes for a half marathon on a half dozen occasions. Was that a telltale glance over his shoulder from 2 there to see if he's safe in second? That would be the metaphorical white flag. No, he's responding. You can see competitors from some of the earlier events out on the course. This is the last drink station coming up at 40 kilometers. I'm not sure they'll take a drink here because it's just too intense. The effect, the benefit of it, unlikely to be felt in the last 5 minutes or so of the race. They may decide it's more important to race and not give even half a second. Well, it says he's 10 seconds clear. I think that will be over third place. There's less than a second between these two. And at the moment, it looks as though he could be heading to victory. The cadence, still pretty good from Isaac 2, but we had a look over his shoulder just to check if he was safe in second place. And that it normally is a sign that he's got no more surges to give. The length of the boulevards mean that they won't all be able to see the athlete in front. If they're 30 seconds ahead of them, that's only the length of some of these straights. But the bounce is there, isn't it? It's a man who's going to be pretty unstoppable in these closing stages. Those were the last drink stations over on that side, but as they power down the Via Sonato, he's not looking to take on board any more refreshment. The win is everything now. We're through 2:04, maybe into our last 5 minutes of racing. And it's been a very canny race here from Leonard Kipkoech Langat bided his time in the group. We didn't see a lot of him taking a turn. Those are the previous champions. Well, Quemoy actually interrupted that sequence of Kenyan victories, so looks like we're heading for another Kenyan victory in 2025, and probably the win of his life for the leader, but he's still got to see it home. There are strange things that can happen in the closing stages of marathons, cramp and stitch. Checking his watch. That's still not a big gap, is it? That's only about 3 or 4 seconds. 1 kilometre, 1.1 kilometre to go. Can two raise anything here? He's got pace, we know that. He looked round, but now he may just feel encouraged that the leader has not gone away from him. That gap is still only 2 or 3 seconds. If two raises a gallop here, you never know, down the Corso Venezia. And it looks as though he's a little bit resurgent here, too. And Langat is suddenly the hunted. Well, 900 metres to run. 2 and a bit minutes, and the gap is only about 3 seconds. Bit of race management required from Leonard Langat to conserve this lead, eke out the victory, not give two anything to sprint against in the closing stages. What a race here. Kenya 1 and 2, and that fantastic picture is what 2 has to do for the win of his life. We've seen surges. He needs to dig deep and try and get one more surge. It looks as though he'd given the race up a kilometre back, but in that period Langat hasn't gone away and the chance is still there. It's tantalising. 600 metres to run. Langat's not looking back. If he does, it would just be too scary at this point. It's down to 2 seconds. It is possible here. Langat's not slowing, but 2, if he accelerates, very soon they will be able to see the dome in the distance, even though it's quite high-sided buildings. He's just trying to look over his left shoulder. Still 2 seconds. And there's only a couple of turns left in this race. 400 metres to run. Fantastic race. It's going to be close whatever happens. If he wins it, the damage was done before the 40-kilometre mark for Leonard Langat. And he is holding. It's been a great race. And the final turn is coming in. So brilliant running, well judged. It looked at one point as if 2 could get back to him, but you can see he's going away now. What a sight in front of Duomo di Milano. The 2025 Wizz Air Milano Marathon champion is going to be another victory for Kenya, and this time the win is going to go to Leonard Langat. He's going to be sub 209. He only took the lead in the final 3 kilometres. He's getting ready to celebrate our winner, Leonard Langat of Kenya. Isaac 2 celebrates second place and a Kenyan double. And Timothy Babsa finishing now. and that's going to be just outside 2:13. These are quite lonely runs for some of these athletes. I don't think we saw Babsa in the later stages, so if he was in that location, that she's been closed down behind, so they may all be struggling a little bit. Pacemaker, who's taken her the whole way around this course, Isaac Kimeli of Kenya. And you can see we've dropped by 4 seconds per kilometre. It's there, the shoulders are rolling a little bit. Got to just protect this lead in the closing stages. She's not looking back. 2 kilometres from here. That's where she is on the course. You can see just a handful of turns in this old part of town, just making their way towards the dome for the finish. Nice bit of shade around this turn. She's never broken 2:20. This isn't, I mean, she's had 6 performances under 2:24. So she's going to, if she can hold it together, join that roll of honour, adding to the win by fellow Ethiopian Gebeyahu a year ago. It was almost imperceptible the way that she took the lead. She's been out in front for probably about 35 to 40 minutes now. It was at one of the drink stations that she just got clear. Pacemaker is conscious of where she is, but that's a bigger gap than it should be. He's having to just moderate his own pace so that he's helping her. Last drink station, you wouldn't normally take on board a drink. He's going across for one, I think, and I think she's going to pass on this one. It's more important to secure the win. Just got to hold it together for another 1,500 metres. The places that she's raced her marathons: Dubai, Tokyo, Chicago, Toronto, Berlin, London, always inside the top 6 at each of those venues. So she does know how to judge a major city marathon. A win is a win, though. This will be a great boost to her a decade into her marathon career. And she's just got to hold it together for another 1,200 metres. I think she'll be getting advice on how big the gap is. I suspect it's significant. There was a lot of pressure on the men's champion in these closing stages. Less so on her. It's more about just holding herself together, just keeping the momentum going one step at a time. 1 kilometre to go. So here we go in the closing stages of the 2025 Wizz Air Milano Marathon. This is Jeff Whiteman on the live stream. We've had the men's clean sweep by the Kenyans. It's looking like an Ethiopian victory in the women's. We'll have the presentation of awards at the podium to conclude the programme, but we're interested to see the times and places of these top 3 women to round out our coverage. And it is Shure Demiseware of Ethiopia, just carefully making her way down the Piazza San Bibbia. Two turns away from the finish now. At a certain point, that pacemaker, who's done a superb job, Isaac Kimeli, he shepherded the leading women. At most it's been 4, but it's only been him on his own who's done that pacemaking job. And he will step to one side, still finish, but let her take the tape and the glory, just jog in to conclude his job, and he's done a great job. About 2 minutes of running remaining. for Ware. It says Demise on her bib. It says her surname is Ware. The sequence is Shure Demise Ware. And this will make her in demand for autumn marathons. She's raced some good ones. She's raced in Berlin, Toronto, Chicago and London. So she's very experienced in Abbott World Marathon Majors events, of which there are now 6. And she may well be signed up for one of those events in the autumn. 500 metres remaining. Pacemaker is drifting back to her. I think it will be to bid her adieu in a moment and congratulate her. We haven't been able to see the gap behind her. We're just tracking the lead. But she's held herself together really well in these closing stages. She's very fatigued, you can see that, but there'll be a lot of joy in these closing stages for her to take this marathon victory for Ethiopia. So the pacemaker's job is done. Isaac Kimeli will step to one side as he sees the finish approaching, so he moves over to the hard shoulder. And the stage is set for our women's champion. She's led for a long, long way to win this one. She's a very, very experienced marathon competitor, and she has used all of that racecraft here to just make sure. And you can see the speed has come back, as it always does when you see the finishing line. Manages to raise a bit of a sprint in the closing stages. The recovery will be that bit quicker because she is the champion. And the women's winner of the 2025 Wizz Air Milano Marathon is Shure Demise Ware of Ethiopia. She's going to take it in 2 hours 23, one of the biggest wins of her career. Ethiopia are top of the podium in the women's event here in Milan, and she will celebrate. I think she dug very, very deep indeed there. Well, there's a smile now. That was tough. That was tough for her. She won it the hard way. And there's no sign of second place. I think she was probably aware of that. I think although she was struggling, they were hurting alike. Joan Kilimo has got a lifetime best of 2:27.41. Looks as though she's going to be inside that. So she's rallied in the closing stages. Winner in Casablanca in October of last year, and she's running strongly for second place. Joan Jepkoskai Kilimo is going to be our second place athlete. I'm trying to do the maths of how far under 2:27 she is. It doesn't matter, it's a lifetime best, and sets her up well for what looks as though it's her second top 2 marathon finish in 2 outings. Good work. Ooh, just hobbling a bit there. It's okay until you stop, and then all the little aches and pains all seem to accumulate suddenly. But she's a long way clear of third. So decisive gaps in the women's event. Ansai Mikuria Alamiru. Mikuria on her bib is going to take third place. So it's been a good day for Ethiopia in the women's event. Only just outside her lifetime best. In fact, very close to her lifetime best of 2:26.49. In front of one of the world's iconic buildings to finish her Wizz Air Milan Marathon. So that's going to be our podium. In the women's event, we will have that presentation of awards coming up very shortly. Generally speaking, if the elites run quick times, and they have, that will percolate all the way down the field. So the debutantes and those that were hoping for under 3 hours, can't wait to have a little rest there for Mikuria of Ethiopia. In about an hour's time, the runners will be coming across that finish line at the rate of about 4 or 5 every second. But these are the creme de la creme runners, the elites. That's the welcome that awaits everybody. It is Italy's fastest marathon historically. The times that have been set here, including the year that it was held on a multi-lap park course just for elite runners in 2020, have always been exceptionally quick. Those course records, 2:03.35 for Ruben Kipyego in the men's, as we look across to the Palazzo Reale, and 2:19.35 in the women's, outstanding. Those, I think, are both Italian all-comers records, the fastest times ever set anywhere in Italy. There are, of course, major marathons in Rome, Turin, and elsewhere.